All right, folks, today's episode is all about the Athena program, which is developed specifically for veteran women of the Canadian Armed Forces. Stay tuned for all the details. Here we go. Hey, I'm going to fill you in on something. 70% of Canadians are vitamin D deficient. You need to get on that because more than likely you're deficient. And the reason why that's important is because vitamin D has been shown to help increase testosterone levels in men. But not only that, it helps reduce the severity of things like COVID-19 and respiratory disorders. How much do you need? You need about 3,000 IUs. The pills at the grocery store are not going to do it. We've only got about 250 in there. You got to be popping pills like a maniac. If you head to onnit.com, you can check out their vitamin D3 spray. And every spray is 250 IUs. I drink that stuff like nobody's business, like a baller in a club. So does my family, because I want to make sure that we have awesome vitamin D levels during the winter months here in Canada. So if you head to onnit.com and drop in MORO into the coupon area for your purchase, you're going to get a nice little discount just for listening to the podcast. You're welcome, by the way. So head to onnit.com, drop in MORO for all your purchases, not just vitamin D, and start living a healthier 2021 right away.
Welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast, the go-to podcast for military, LEO, and EMS professionals, sharing ideas and experiences from around the world to make you hard to kill. Here's your host, Dave Morrow.
All right. Welcome, Audrey. Welcome, Stephanie, to the Hard to Kill podcast. Today, we're doing a three-person episode because we're launching a brand new special program with the help of the Quebec Veterans Foundation. Sorry, I already screwed that up, Steph. Sorry about that. So that's why we have our special guest today, Stephanie Tomei, who's with the Quebec Veterans Foundation, or the QVF. And I want to welcome her today so she can explain a little bit about the women's program, the Barry F. Lorenzetti women's program, and why we are so excited to be a part of this program. So, Steph, welcome to the podcast. And why don't you tell just a little bit about yourself for the listeners out there?
Perfect. Thanks for doing this and having me. I'm so excited for this to go down. So like Dave said, I work with the Quebec Veterans Foundation. I am the project manager there. So my focus is solicitation, marketing. I'm also specifically the coordinator for the BFLF Women Veterans Program. So the Quebec Veterans Foundation, we don't provide direct services. We finance service providers. And our mission is to assist veterans during their transition to civilian life. So anyone who has exited the forces. And we also provide support, things like music therapy, pet therapy, to veterans who are currently in long-term care at St. Anne's Hospital. So that includes veterans from World War II and Korea. And there's about 120 of them there currently.
Okay. So originally that's what the foundation was set up for, right? It was to help the World War II and Korean veterans with their stay at the Veterans Hospital, if I understand correctly.
Exactly. So prior to April 1st, 2016, the hospital was federally owned, and it housed exclusively veterans. And then since healthcare is a provincial oversight, the hospital was transferred over from the Canadian government to the Quebec government. And now it's a long-term care facility that has floors that are dedicated to continuing care for those specific clientele. So,
okay, very cool. So the QVF helps out Quebec veterans. Awesome. I got put in touch with you guys through my friend Alex Main, who runs Alpha Veterans out of Quebec City. And it was my first contact with you guys. And I was thoroughly impressed. Having met both you guys, I thought it was really cool initiative. But I hadn't learned really anything about it up until that point. So you mentioned a few different things like helping the veterans in the hospital and making sure that veterans across Quebec that are transitioning get the support that they need. So could you explain a little bit about the Barry F. Lorenzetti Foundation Women's Program and how you guys, the QVF, are linked with that initiative?
So basically the way it came about was in June, July of 2019. The executive director, Anne Urtubise, and myself, we were sitting down thinking, what are our next steps? How do we expand on the veterans that we're already helping? How do we reach more veterans in Quebec? And especially at the beginning of my career at the foundation, it was a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of learning how the military works, how veterans work, etc. And one of the interesting facts that we had come across in all of our reading was that the Canadian Armed Forces was currently in the process of expanding their diversity. So their goal was to have 1 in 4 members be female by 2026. And with that mission and the statistics that we were reading, we knew that, and also being women ourselves, we knew that women veterans needed to be our next mission, I guess you can say. So we knew that we had to work to do something specifically for female veterans. And in a lot of the research, we also noticed that there were no programs for women. They were allowed to join mixed groups with male veterans, or they were invited to join groups with spouses, female spouses. But in Quebec, there was essentially nothing that existed. So that's kind of how the whole process started.
Interesting. So yeah, that's an important point because, obviously I'm a male veteran. And I've even done programs, namely the Veteran Transition Network, where, the men and women are separated, just because we have different needs. And I know that I would react differently in an environment that is mixed. I probably definitely wouldn't be as forthcoming and honest. And, vice versa, I'm sure is very much the case. So what successes have you had so far? Because I'm curious to hear more about it, because I'm implicated in this now and I'm super excited about it. What have you guys noticed with your program so far and some successes that you had?
So the program is fairly new. It's still in its infancy. It was only launched in August of 2020. So, but last year we were able to actually finance one of the Veteran Transition Network's first COVID-friendly workshops that they did, which was for female veterans in Quebec. And of all the feedback we received, it was nothing but positive. Everyone was so grateful. We would hear things like, this program has saved me. It's taught me so much. It's doing so much for me. And for us, it's always been, if we're helping one veteran to feel better, to be more comfortable in their transition in whatever way, shape, or form that is, that's enough for us. If we have that one success story and that one happy veteran, that's what makes the difference for us.
Okay, that's awesome. I have to tip my hats to anybody at the VTN. Those are awesome people. And it's good to hear that, you're able to make a difference with the foundation and the program, especially at that level, because I can personally attest that I wouldn't say that it saved my life, but it definitely saved, I would say, my marriage, saved my career, a lot of myself. I just didn't know what I was dealing with until I got to the VTN's course, which was over a few weeks, a few weekends. So that was that had a huge impact. And so now we're talking about the Athena program that we're proud members of the Barry F. Lorenzetti Foundation's women's program now. And we're not the only ones in this program. So there's ourselves, and currently there's another yoga program too, I believe, right?
Yes. So there's Cynthia Maye, who has a yoga company, I guess you can call it, called Energy Zen. She has actually been doing recreational type, therapeutic type yoga with veterans for quite a few years. We originally, I guess you can say, we found her at St. Anne's Hospital. She was already doing yoga courses on site twice a week with veterans there. And obviously when COVID hit, everything started transitioning into virtual, and it was only natural for us to also ask her, being a woman herself, to add in an additional course exclusively for female veterans. So there's the yoga. We also this year were funding renovations, improvements to the pepper pods, which is probably going to be new for a lot of people hearing. It's Sandra Perron. She has a program already in existence where it's a weekend, and she brings female veterans and spouses and whatnot together to workshop, etc. She recently purchased a facility in Chelsea, and we're working with her to make certain improvements for her to be able to bring all of her sessions there. And so we're going to be working with her this year. We're working with Pêche à la Mouche, fly fishing in Quebec, and they teach veterans to prepare the flies, and they teach them how to fly fish. Which
I'm getting the impression you're not a fly fisherman. Okay.
I'm
okay.
not.
Just checking.
So interesting.
Just checking. I'm not by any shape of the imagination, but okay, cool. That's
no, but
cool.
I mean, they've been doing it for a couple of years now, and they're associated with Legions, and all the feedback we've received is positive. And I know, obviously, I have no connection to veterans or the armed forces outside of the organization, but as a civilian, I can understand why fly fishing could potentially be beneficial to someone's mental health and overall happiness or demeanor or whatnot. I can see that. I can see myself benefiting from it. So if I can see that, then I can see it also helping veterans.
Having grown up with a family of fly fishermen, having never learned myself,
oh wow,
it looks awesome. Pulling out these big salmon.
Yeah.
My grandfather and my uncle, shout out to Uncle Steve if he's listening. And they were huge fly fishermen back in the day, and he still fly fishes. So that was something that I grew up with. I never really had an interest, I'll be honest. I don't mind going fishing now, but fly fishing, I don't know, something about it doesn't really turn my crank, but it sounds like a very interesting program. So Steph, thanks for all of that and sharing what's going on in the QVF and your partnerships with the Barry F. Lorenzetti Foundation. So now I'm going to pass it over to Audrey, who is our coach extraordinaire, who's taking care of the women's program, the Athena program. So Audrey, why don't you get into some of the details as to what the Athena program is all about and why Athena? It sounds so badass.
Yeah, hi. I'm still here, but I was very quiet because I'm learning a lot just through Steph talking about the foundation. Like there's a lot of things there that I didn't even know about that you just brought up to my attention. So that was really interesting. So what I'm going to be here to do with the QVF is going to be to introduce the Athena program, which is going to be a training program really designed specifically for women veterans. So that's going to be just another service that we hope women veterans can benefit from on top of their yoga, the fly fishing and everything else. So obviously, I think training and fitness and health is a big part of any Canadian Forces member. So I find it really important to kind of rekindle with that and relink with that as they transition to civilian life, because myself being a current member of the forces, like I can see how it's a big part of the culture while I'm in it. So you don't want to lose that part of it when you're transitioning. So that's why we thought providing a training program would be important. And the name Athena, Dave, as you mentioned, It's more of an acronym. So, I mean, we chose the name Athena, but it really stands for Alliance, Tenacity, Health, Exercise, Nutrition, and Authenticity. So that's kind of the core values and elements that I wanted to incorporate while I was brainstorming for the program and what I wanted to focus on, for the training program. Yeah.
Right on. So a little backstory. Audrey was a client of mine over a year ago. One of my originals, actually. Hard charger, hit every workout, crushed them. And then not too long after that, we were still keeping in touch. She called me and said, hey, you're looking for somebody that can, maybe handle some coaching. And I was literally in the middle of setting up this program with the QVF. And I go, oh my God, it's like somehow you knew that I was going to need help with this program. Because although I've been coaching for a while, setting a program up specifically just for women was definitely going to be a daunting challenge for me. So Audrey, what are some of the components that you brought into this program besides the awesome acronym for Athena? What are some of the key components that you're going to be focusing on for the Athena program?
Yeah, one of the key components, besides obviously health and fitness and improving health, is going to be also community. So we want it to be not just an individual experience, but we want to make it kind of like a little group of women that are working towards a goal together. So yeah, sure, there's going to be some women in the group that might have different like health goals. Maybe some of them will be, weight loss. Some of them will be like muscle gain or strength and all that cool stuff. But we also want to make it about them sharing their experience through the program and making also relationships, because this all came about in the middle of COVID and the pandemic. And it's just, we have to take into consideration that everyone's so far apart and really not able to connect with people around them as much. So this can be also a way to do that. So it's going to be, not only a training program, but also community. So I think that's like a key element to it. And then, so through that, I mean, each woman is going to have their personalized version of the program. There's like general lines to it, but I'm going to be assessing each and everyone's need to make sure that it's fitting for them, and assessing also their background, like what kind of experience do they have with training and what kind of injuries might affect them through the training. Have they had previous injuries, or are we trying to prevent some injuries from coming up as well? So including that in, but I'm losing my train of thought too. So they're going to be
duly noted.
I feel it. I feel the pain.
Yeah.
It's because you get no feedback. It's just me looking at you. So you're like, oh God, where did I go with this? Yeah. Okay.
So they'll be having, like a personalized program. But on top of that, we're also planning on integrating group training sessions. So it could be, everyone across Quebec can participate, right? Like any women veteran across Quebec. So whether there's one in Abitibi or there's one in Quebec City, like I'm planning on also making this kind of a live training sessions at times, so where everyone can kind of log on at the same time, be like, all right, let's get it. We're doing one of the days of the programs today and working hard. So yeah, that's some of the components to the program that I have in mind so far.
That's awesome. Now, folks, Audrey's a very modest human being, but she's also going to be a fully qualified athletic therapist by the end of this semester, right?
Yeah. So athletic therapy is kind of like nursing and whatnot. You have to. So I'll be graduating from the bachelor's, but also have to go through a national exam that I'll be finishing the bachelor's in April, and then in June, hopefully doing the national exam. Hopefully it's not pushed back because of COVID, but
right. Yeah. Right. That's awesome. So not only do you get a top-notch personal trainer, but you get somebody who's also an athletic therapist. So you're going to be well taken care of. That's for sure. This is really, really cool to see take form. And if you're interested in getting on board. So you're listening to this, you're like, hey, this sounds awesome. Audrey, are there any like training pre-requirements? Like, do you have to have a baseline level of fitness or anything like that in order to hop on board the Athena program?
No, so that's it. I really want to make it available to anyone. So that's why I'll be taking the time to really meet every single participant individually before they start the program, to really see their current fitness level, their goals, what experience they have, how much are they willing to put in. Like, it's really going to be varying from person to person. But also, like, knowing that the group is going to be kept fairly small, it allows me that much more to make sure that, like, it's specific to each woman. It's not like I'm going to be looking over 50 people at the same time, right? So I'm going to be really using that to their advantage and make sure that anyone who, even if they're already an athlete and they're already doing, I don't know, let's say marathons and whatnot, well, finding different ways to push them, like introducing new ways of working out, or so it really can be for anyone, no matter their prior experience.
Excellent. Awesome. So folks, if you're interested and this is something that you want a little bit more information on and have a chat with Audrey and myself, the easiest thing to do is head to the show notes where the link will be published. It's also going to be published in Audrey's latest blog post, which is going to be at the very top of the davemorrow.net/hard-to-kill blog page. And that'll be posted on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll be able to find it on a whole bunch of different places. So if there's any more questions, always feel free to reach out to either one of us on Facebook. I'm easy to find. I'm Dave Morrow PT. And Audrey is Audrey Dufresne on Facebook as well. And you can also join the Hard to Kill community with the Hard to Kill Facebook group. And Steph, before we sign off today, where are some places that people can find the QVF so that they can get better acquainted with your organization?
Definitely, they can head over to our website, fqv-qvf.ca. They can email me directly, stephanie@fqv-qvf.ca, or our Facebook page, Fondation Québécoise des Vétérans de Retour en Force. So we're pretty active on social media, and everything is on our website. And myself and my other colleague Rosa, we're always available and ready to answer and help anyone who comes asking, for sure.
Awesome. We'll drop all those links in the show notes as well, so that people can get dialed in and find out a little bit more about us and about you guys. And the winds of change are blowing with respects to fitness and health and veterans health, especially. And I'm really proud to be a part of this initiative. And I appreciate you guys even giving me and us the shot to take this on, and I can't wait to get this started. And Steph, it's been a pleasure, honestly. Thanks so much for showing up on the pod and explaining a little bit more about the QVF. And Audrey, always a pleasure having you on too. We got to do more of these and explaining what the Athena program is all about. So folks, that's it from us for today. There is going to be, for those of you that parlez français, there's going to be another one of these en français for the French-speaking population of Quebec and the rest of Canada. So stay tuned for that as well. And as always, train hard, fight easy. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find out more about training, nutrition, and mindset at davemorrow.net. Be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram at Dave Morrow PT. And don't forget, strong people are hard to kill.